I was worth more than they could ever imagine, yet they called me poor. The room went silent. The laughter of my family echoed in my ears, but this time, it wasn't a joke. The words poor and useless cut through me like a knife. My brother Chris, the so-called golden child of the family, smirked as he threw another insult my way. Still living in that tiny apartment, huh? When are you going to grow up? My parents nodded, as if they agreed with every word he said. I was used to their mockery, but today it stung more than ever. Anyway, we're just glad you could make it to the family dinner, even if it's just to beg for help, my mom added, her voice dripping with sarcasm. But what they didn't know was that I wasn't just getting by. I had built something they'd never see coming. I kept my success hidden, not because I was ashamed, but because I wanted to see them face the truth when the time was right. I wasn't the poor little sister they thought I was. I was holding the keys to their future, and they were about to find out. The entire room had no idea what was about to happen. In an instant, I would change everything. But first, I needed to sit through this humiliation. They didn't know it yet, but I had been silently making moves. The startup I'd poured my blood, sweat, and tears into, it had just hit a valuation higher than any of them could fathom. My bank account wasn't just full, it was overflowing. But it wasn't the money I cared about. It was the revenge that was coming their way. Chris, I don't think you know what I've been up to, I said, my voice steady, but with a hint of something darker. My heart raced, but I wouldn't let them see it. Not yet. My brother raised an eyebrow, dismissing me. Oh, really? Tell me, what have you been doing? Waiting for a miracle? I'm not waiting for anything, I said quietly. I've already made it. The shock on their faces was enough to send a chill down my spine, but I wasn't done yet. My gaze flicked to my father, who was quietly sipping his drink. I'll show you, I whispered, barely audible. And then I pulled out my phone, showing them a single message, an offer from a multi-million-dollar company ready to buy my startup. My startup. The one they'd mocked me for, the one they thought would fail. They thought I was worthless. They had no idea what was coming. But before they could say anything, I stood up, ready to walk away. I'll leave you to your dinner. I have a meeting with someone far more important than any of you. They stared at me in disbelief as I walked out, leaving them in the dark. The keys to their future were in my hands, and I wasn't about to give them up. The drive home was a blur. My phone vibrated with notifications, but I didn't even look at them. I knew what was coming next. My family would try to reach me, beg me to explain, to come back. They wouldn't understand. They couldn't. I knew this moment was coming, but part of me couldn't help but feel a strange sense of satisfaction. For years, I'd been the invisible one, the one everyone overlooked. But now, I wasn't just any part of their family. I was the one holding all the cards. As I pulled into my driveway, I took a deep breath and smiled. Tonight, everything changed. Just as I was about to enter my house, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was from my father. "We need to talk," it read. Now! I almost laughed. They couldn't stand the idea of losing their grip on me, could they? For all their talk of success, they had no idea how much power I'd quietly gained while they were busy tearing me down. But the question lingered in my mind. Was it too soon? Was I ready to reveal everything, to unleash the truth that would leave them speechless? Or would I let them twist in suspense a little longer? My finger hovered over the phone. Reply or ignore? I asked myself. The decision, heavy in the air. Before I could answer, my phone rang. It was Chris. He didn't even let it ring twice before speaking. "Where are you?" he demanded, his voice filled with frustration and something else I couldn't quite place. Fear. I'm home, I said, keeping my tone calm. Why? What's going on? We need to talk. You can't just walk away like this, he snapped. I leaned back, my mind racing. It felt good to hear him panic. It felt good to know he was no longer the one holding the power in this family. Chris, I don't think you understand, I said, my voice colder than I meant. I've already done what you and Dad could never do. I'm not the little girl you can boss around anymore. And trust me, you won't be able to touch me or what I've built. So, if you want to keep this up, you can try, but you won't like where it leads. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. It was clear that Chris hadn't been prepared for this. He had no idea what I was capable of. And now, the fear I'd seen in his voice wasn't just for me. It was for him, for his position in the family, for the life he thought he had locked in place. Are you really going to do this? He finally asked, his voice barely a whisper. You'll find out soon enough, I said, ending the call. As I sat in my car, I felt a mixture of power and anticipation. This wasn't just about money. It wasn't just about revenge. This was about taking back control. I wasn't going to play by their rules anymore. I was the one calling the shots now. But the real question lingered. Would they try to come after me? Would they attempt to sabotage everything I'd worked for, now that they knew the truth? The fear in Chris's voice made me wonder if they'd try to take me down before I could finish what I started. It wasn't just a family reunion anymore. It was a battle, one I wasn't sure I was ready for, and the stakes were higher than ever. The next morning, I woke up to a flood of messages. Texts, emails, and even calls, all from my family. You didn't think you could just walk away, did you? My dad's message was blunt, demanding, as if I was still the daughter who had to listen. I could already feel the pressure building. They were coming after me, all of them. But I wasn't about to let them pull me back into their web of control. Not now, not ever again. I stared at my phone, the words flicking through my mind like a reel of film. They were desperate. They were scared, and they were trying to get to me before I could get to them. I spent the morning in my office, going over the deal with the tech company. It was real. It was happening. The multi-million-dollar buyout offer was solid, and soon my startup would be theirs. But more importantly, I would have everything I needed to make my family pay. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their validation. But it felt like I needed something else. I needed them to see me for what I was, not their poor little sister, not the failure they all assumed I was. I wanted them to know that the tables had turned, and this time, I was in charge. Around noon, my phone buzzed again. This time it was from my mom. We need to talk, sweetie, it said. Please, meet us for lunch. I knew exactly what that meant. They were trying to convince me to come back, to give up everything I had built. They wanted me to return to their control. They wanted to bring me back into their world of manipulation. I should have ignored it. But something inside me urged me to go. Maybe it was the satisfaction of hearing their excuses. Maybe it was the need to finally close the chapter on their hold over me. I texted back, I'll be there. When I arrived at the restaurant, the tension was thick. My father and brother were already sitting at the table, their faces tight with something I couldn't quite place. Not fear, not anger. It was something deeper. Shame. Sit down, my dad said curtly, without looking up from the menu. I took my seat, my back straight, my eyes steady. What's this about? Listen, we know things got out of hand last night, my mom began, her voice softer now. But you don't have to shut us out. You're family. Family? I repeated, my voice hard. You've never treated me like family. All these years, I've been the joke, the burden, the one who could never do anything right. And now, when I've finally made something of myself, you want me back? Just like that?" They exchanged a look. Chris, who had been quiet up until now, finally spoke. "You've changed. This attitude of yours. It's not who you are." He leaned forward, his eyes searching mine. "We're your family. You don't have to do this alone." I let out a short laugh, more bitter than I intended. "You think I've done this alone? You think I didn't know what was happening behind my back? That I didn't see the way you all looked at me? I did everything on my own. You never believed in me, but I still made it. You were too busy laughing to notice what was right in front of you." There was a long, uncomfortable silence. Then my father cleared his throat. "We didn't mean to hurt you. You have to understand that," he said. "But this is bigger than just you. If you're really serious about this business, if you're really going to keep going down this path, then we need to talk about how we can all be a part of it. We can work together." "Work together?" I scoffed. "You're not a part of this. You never will be. I didn't need you then, and I don't need you now. And I'm not doing this to prove something to you. I'm doing this because I can, because I've earned it." Chris looked down at his hands, the weight of my words hitting him harder than I thought it would. My father's face grew redder, his frustration barely hidden. "I think you've made your point," my dad said, his voice tight. "But you can't just cut us out completely. This is family. We're here to help, whether you want it or not." "I don't need help," I said, standing up. "I just need you to see the truth." Before I could leave, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from the tech company. The deal was final. The sale was confirmed. And just like that, everything changed. I wasn't just the success story. I was the one with the power. My family. They were still trying to catch up, still holding on to a life that wasn't theirs to control anymore. As I walked out of the restaurant, I couldn't help but smile. The game was over, and I had won. As I walked out of the restaurant, my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't from my family. It was from my lawyer. The deal was official. My startup had been bought. But there was something else. A clause in the contract that changed everything. My family had no idea what was about to hit them. The very company I sold to was also interested in acquiring real estate, and I happened to own a few prime properties. Properties my family thought I had sold. They were about to find out that not only was I richer than they ever imagined, but I was also about to become a major player in the business world. The phone rang. My father. "Where are you?" he demanded. "You need to explain what's happening. This isn't how things are supposed to go." "I'm doing just fine," I said, my voice cool. "You'll understand soon enough. But don't worry, I've got your future covered." His silence was deafening. Then I heard Chris in the background, arguing with him, both of them probably wondering where their place in my world would be. "I'll be in touch," I added. Hanging up before they could respond, I sat in my car, the weight of everything I had accomplished sinking in. My family's betrayal, their laughter, their judgment, it was all going to backfire. They had no idea what I'd done, and they wouldn't see it coming. In a matter of days, they would understand. The keys to their future? I had them, and it was time for them to face the truth. Days passed, and my family's desperation grew. Calls and messages flooded my phone. They wanted to meet, to talk, but I was done talking. I had already made my move. The final twist came when I invited them to a meeting, the kind they thought would be to make amends. When they arrived, I handed them a legal document, the agreement for the properties they'd tried to steal. "Everything you've done behind my back, all the lies, the mockery, the betrayal, it ends here," I said calmly, watching their faces drain of color as they read the paper. Their company, bought out, their assets, gone, and the business they tried to ruin, now mine. Chris stared at me in disbelief. You did this to us? No, I said with a smile. You did this to yourselves. They were speechless. The table had finally turned. And just like that, my family's empire was destroyed. And I was the one holding all the power.